of sociology. Today we'll start with BSOE 148, that is social stratification. We'll discuss the basic concepts and the meaning of social stratification. What is social stratification and what are the basic concepts of social stratification? See, social stratification is a process through which group and social categories in the societies are ranked as higher or lower to one another in terms of their relative position on the scale of prestige, privileges, wealth, and power. As the name indicates, stratification. Stratification means we are making a strata, right? It is a process in which the groups or the social categories are ranked as higher or lower to one another. How can we rank some group as the as higher in strata and lower in strata? It is on the basis of the power or the status of that group or the categories, prestige or privileges of that category or the group. On the basis of the prestige, power, privileges, right, wealth, we categorize the group or social categories into lower or higher ranks, right? Social stratification, how this social stratification evolved, the evolutionary process of social stratification, right? I hope you understand the meaning of social stratification. Social stratification, that there are various dimensions or the factors like power, wealth, privileges, status, on the basis of which we categorize the groups into higher or lower ranks. How it has been evolved, right? Social stratification as an institution evolved when the technology of production underwent the basic changes, right? When there is a change in the technology, innovation of animal husbandry and agriculture necessitated more complex technologies and settled form of community life. These economies also begin to generate economic surplus and accumulation of wealth, either in the form of cattle or food grains. See, as I said, that on the basis of wealth. See, with the passage of time, there is changes in the technology, right? And there is innovation in animal husbandry, agriculture. There are changes in the agriculture, right? More technologies, more complex technologies. We are using more complex technologies through which the mode of production changes, or there is an increase in production, right? And then there is a settled form of our life, right? And because of this settled form of life, because of more production, right, and because of the advancement of technologies, right, these economies begin to generate economic surplus. These economic surplus could be in the term of food grains or the wealth, or the food grain or the wealth. So it increases the wealth. So on the basis of wealth, we stratified the society like rich or poor, right? With assured food resources, population began to grow as never before, and barter and exchange or commodities began to take place on the larger scale. In course of time, tools of exchange were invented which could reflect values of commodities in a growth of section of societies who had more control on wealth and power because of because of increase in the production of food grains or the surplus, right? It has increased the wealth and the power, right? And with development of relative complex technology and division of labor, not only specialized group emerged, but a division between the rural and the urban center also came into existence in course of time. With the advancement of the technologies, right, there is a change in economics, right? And because of the change in the economic, it started people started generating more surplus could be accumulated. Surplus is what it is, the accumulation of wealth in form of food grains or the cattle, right? And because of these technologies now, people have started generating the wealth, started accumulating the wealth, and this wealth is one of the dimension, as we discussed, is one of the dimension which is responsible for the social stratification, right? So the complexity of social structure necessitated more elaborate institution of social control over the emerging social realities, such as institutionalization form of religion, strata of functionaries specialized into different form of works, cultural specialities, and ruling classes. The institution of social stratification came into being as a result. See, as people are accumulating wealth, right? To maintain a social order, the social it is required to stratify this society. It is required that we should have a control over this society. There should be a social control, so that there should be peace in this society, right? So social control was required, and for this social control, uh, we institutionalized various things, like we institutionalized the religion, right? What is the institution to control the society? We institutionalize the religion. Strata of functionaries, we institutionalize the division of labor, right? A specialized form of work, and ruling classes, etc., right? So the institutions of social stratification came into being as a result. So to just to maintain the social order, we institutionalized various other things, so that there could be no problem in this society, and this is how social stratification emerged. Organizing principles. There are three major organizing principles of social stratification. These are status, wealth, and power. Sociological observation of many societies over a period of time have revealed some linkage among these principles in an evolutionary process. Social stratification comes into being in society when social gradation or ranking is done on the basis of an entire group of people, such as gradation based on the caste, class, inner society. So social see there is the three major organize there are the three major organizing principles of the social stratification, and the social stratification begins in the society when we started ranking or grading the group on the basis of certain factors. Like in Indian society, a few major factors are like class or the caste. On the basis of the caste, we stratified the society. There are four basic, on the basis of caste there are Brahman, Kshatriya, right? Then Vaishya and the Shudra, right? So on the basis of caste, we have stratified the Indian society. On the basis of class, there is a division in the society, right? Next is the status, right? The earliest principle of social stratification is that of the status. What is status? Status is the position which you hold in the society is known as the status, right? So the earlier principle of social stratification in the society was the status. What status you hold, what position you hold in this society. Status in the language of social stratification means ranking of a group in a society on the basis of their relative position in term of honor and respect. That is what the status is, the position which you hold in the society is status. So status is what, it is on the what position or the respect or the honor a group holds in this society, right? That is status. Honor is a qualitative attribute which members in a status group enjoy by birth. Any such attribute which is inherited by birth is ascribed and cannot be acquired by efforts. So there are two types of this status. One is achieved type of a status and one is ascribed type of a status. Right? When we divide a group, when we stratify a society, or when we divide a group, when we divide this society on the basis of this status, that is position, the honor, or the respect a group holds, then that is known as the status. And this status, the individual, when the individual inherit that status by birth, is known as the ascribed status, and it cannot be changed throughout the life, right? No one earns it, right? No one acquire it by effort, but a individual inherit this type of a status. Like caste is a status which we inherit by birth, right? If someone is born in the Brahmin family, by birth, that individual is known as the Brahmin, right? If someone is born in the Kshatriya family, then by birth, that individual has ascribed a status, right? That is the Kshatriya status. So caste is an example of ascribed status, right? Ascribed status is what, which an individual get, because which an individual inherits by birth, right? The status principle of social stratification is also termed as a principle of ascription. In our country, caste is very appropriate example of this status group, right? The qualities which go to make a status group are related more to values and beliefs, to legends and myth perpetuated in the society over a period of time, than to the principle which is achievable by efforts, whether economic, political, or cultural. The ascribed status or the status group, they are actually related to the values or the principles, right? Or the values or the belief, right? Or the myth perpetuated in the society over a period of time, right? So ascribed status is that type of a status. Then on the basis of wealth, we can stratify this society, right? This is the second organization principle of social stratification, that is wealth. First is status, second is wealth. Wealth is generated in the society only when technological advancement takes place and there is change in the mode of production, right? Such changes not only brought about the institution of social stratification, but in course of time also altered the principle of organization of social stratification, right? When there is a change in the mode of production, right? When there are haves and have nots, right? And haves and have nots, haves are those who have wealth, those who have mode of production, and have nots, those who don't own the mode of production. They don't have a wealth, or they have a less wealth as compared to haves, right? And this is one of the basis of this stratification of the society, that is mode of production, right? The group which had a greater control over economic resources, means haves, and the wealth, or which possesses more wealth, were ranked higher in the society than the group which controlled less of it, or group which had a little or negligible access to the wealth. Example is class. Class is the example of stratification on the basis of wealth: upper class, middle class, or lower class, rich or poor, right? There are the classes: those who owns the mode of production, and those who don't own the mode of production, or who have a less access to the mode of production, haves and has not, right? The class, they form the two types of the classes, that is the have class and have not class. Class is an example of social stratification on the basis of wealth, and caste is an example of social stratification on the basis of the status. Then power, there is a stratification on the basis of the power. The third organizing principle of social stratification is power. Unlike status and wealth, which can be clearly linked with the group characteristics of ranking, it is always possible that a group with a higher status in the society or that which enjoys greater wealth also exercises more power in the society. See, power is those who have the mode of production, right? Those who have higher status in this society, and those who enjoys the greater wealth exercises more power in this society. Those has they have the greater power in this society, and the concept of power, as Max Weber has discussed in his treatment of social stratification, rests on the fact that it endows a person or group which have a power to impose their will or other group by legitimate use of coercive method, right? So what is power? Power when you enforces your will on others or on other group, right, by legitimate use of the coercive method, that is known as the power as per the Max Weber, right? So legitimacy of exercise is power is widely accepted by the group. In other words, when it is institutionalized in the society, the power becomes authority, right? So power those who enjoys a greater status, or those who enjoy the wealth, those who have access to the wealth, normally they have power in their hands. And what is the power as per Max Weber? When someone imposes the will on other group, when a group imposes the will on another group by legitimate use of coercive methods, right? That is power. And when this legitimacy of exercise of power is widely accepted by the group, then it becomes the authority, right? So on the basis of the wealth, on the basis of the power, on the basis of the status, we can stratify this society, right? Caste and class in India. Caste is an example of the status, and class is a classical example of the what should I say, wealth, right? Caste and class are the principles of social stratification, which illustrate respectively the role of the status and wealth in the ranking group in the society. So the principal status and there are two principal status and the wealth of social stratification, and the caste and the class are the example, are the classical example of status and the wealth, right, of social stratification in this society. Caste is a prime example of the status group, as we already discussed, right? Caste is an example of the status group on the basis of the position or the respect or the honor which one holds in this society is known as this status. And on the basis of this, India, we have divided our society into various castes, right? Class, on the other hand, is based on the principle where group are ranked on their access to wealth or their relative ability to have control upon the wealth resources in the society, that is class, right? Caste is what? Caste is an example of the status and resources of the society, or to the wealth of the society, right? That is the haves or have nots. That haves, and on the basis of haves and have nots, we have divided the society into classes, right? There is a greater degree of consensus among sociologists about the process by which status groups are formed and constituent a rank order in social stratification. But the same degree of consensus does not seem exist in the process which contributes to the emergences, right? That is when we give a rank, there is a rank order in social stratification, but there is not the same consensus on in case of the class is seen as an emerging out of market situation, right? Whereas according to Karl Marx and where according to Max Weber, whereas Karl Marx connects it with the modes of production which determine the access to wealth or its control as well as ranking of groups in the society, right? So caste is on the basis of the status, and sociologists so there is a consensus among the sociologists about the process by which status groups are formed and ranked. But according to the Max Weber, this class is seen as emerging out of the market situation. Because of the market situation, this class has emerged. And according to the Karl Marx, this class is connected with the mode of production, those haves and has not, right? Caste and social stratification. The traditional Indian society have organized primarily on the basis of the caste stratification. Our society is basically stratified on the basis of the caste. We all know that caste plays an important role in this society. Even in politics, caste plays an important role. So, traditional Indian society was organized primarily on the basis of caste stratification. This stratification was such where caste functioned as a central principle in all aspects of social life, such as economy, polity, and the culture. So caste plays an important role in every field, whether it's culture, whether it's politics, whether it's economics, whether it is anything else. So caste is at the center of everything. Distinction between varna and jati, the former being a frame of reference or model for classification, and later being a specific caste group ranked in the social status. See, we know there are we have divided the groups on the basis of varnas and the jatis. Right? What is varna? Varna is a frame of reference or model of classification. There are four varnas: Brahman, there are the varnas, right? These varnas are the frame of reference or model for classification. And jatis are specific caste group ranked in order of social status. And that is jatis are the caste group. Actually, these are the caste groups, and they are ranked in order of the social status which they hold. The four varna are Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and the Shudras. Right? The fifth varna, later the fifth varna, Panchama, also exists into existence. It comprised those who were thrown out of the caste system itself due to their having been judged by the society as to have violated the some basis of the norms, right? So actually there are four varnas. Even later on there was the fifth varna known as the Panchama, and this fifth varna are those who were thrown out of even this of the caste system because of the certain reason. The Panchamas were also declared by the society as untouchable, the acutest form of social discrimination imposed on any group in the society. So, four varnas are Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and the Shudras, and there is the fifth varna, and this fifth varna is known as untouchable, right? And this fifth varna, this untouchable, the acutest form of social discrimination imposed on any group in this society, right? They suffered a lot. Some of the basic characteristic of caste system were, that is, the membership is by birth. There are certain characteristics of the caste system in India. That is, you inherit this caste system. That is, this status is ascribed type of a status. The membership is by birth. You cannot change it, right? And then because there is the membership is by birth, you, that is the ascribed type of a status is this hereditary occupation, that one inherit the occupation according to the varnas or the caste, right? So there is a hereditary occupation. We inherit, usually people inherit the occupation. Pollution and purity ascribed to different caste in terms of the varnas hierarchy. We'll discuss about this pollution and purity, right? Pollution and purity is ascribed, is attached to the different caste. This caste is pure, this caste is impure or polluted type of a caste. One can take food from this caste and one cannot take food from this caste. If one wants to take food from the caste in lower in the hierarchy, what type of food one can accept? So there are certain rules of pollution and purity, right? Pollution and purity, that this is the this type of a caste or varna is a pure type of a caste, as we consider the these Brahmins as a pure and untouchable or polluted type of the caste. So there are pollution and purity ascribed to the different varnas and the caste in terms of varna hierarchy. There is endogamy. Endogamy, we discussed about endogamy in detail in our last few lectures. Endogamy is there are certain rules of marriage. So there is an endogamy. Mutual repulsion or segregation is there, right? So on the basis, there are certain characteristics that we inherit the caste, we inherit the occupation, pollution and purity concept is there, right? Endogamy is there, and mutual repulsion and segregation is there. Demography of the caste. Jati is not recognized as a social group. It is only recognizable with reference to the Varna model, right? So it is associated, this Jati is associated with Varna model. Jati have also existed as a regional or sub regional group numbering into thousands. So there are with thousands of jatis and mm, jatis also bear local and regional cultural markers based on the ecology, local history, and the mythology. Caste system function on the basis of mutual cooperation and interdependence. It formed an organic system. The stability of the caste as a system of social stratification was based on the economy, right? So caste system is basically function on the basis of the mutual cooperation. Everyone needs everyone, so there is an interdependence, and there is an organic type of the solidarity exist. And the stability of the caste system of social stratification is based on the economy, right? Now there is a concept of social mobility. What is the social mobility? This phase of the process of change in the caste system of stratification set into the motion the process of new social mobility, linked it directly with the state policies, and introduced element of politicization in social movement, from which the system has never turned back. Independence, which resulted in national political movement against British rule, was ideologically against any discrimination in India based on the caste, religion, or the ethnic differences. The normative foundation was located in the secularism and the citizenship rights equally available to all. Right? What is this social mobility? Social mobility is that is a process of change in the caste system of this stratification, right? And after independence our constitution is based on the secularism, right? We have our constitution gives the equal right to each and every citizen. We cannot differentiate between the citizen on the basis of the caste, ethnicity, or the religion, right? Principle of hierarchy. Caste is also considered to reflect the principle of hierarchy in social stratification. There, obviously, it is a hierarchy, that is, we rank one group over the other. Right there, we rank the group relative to each other. Right, hierarchy is defined by Dumont as a feature of social system where normative principles govern or determine the instrumental or utilitarian principle in affairs of the society. Right? According to Dumont, the notion of pollution, purity, and inequality's existence of the caste system could not be understood when judged from the Western secular standards, which belongs to an altogether different metrics of civilization. So there is a principle of hierarchy, right? Caste reflects the hierarchy, principle of hierarchy of social stratification. We divide the class, we position the caste on the basis of their ranks, right? And Dumont define this hierarchy as a feature of a social system where normative principle governs, right, or determine the instrumental or utilitarian principle. Several studies have attempted to establish a very close relationship between caste and class in India. We divide the Indian society on the basis of the caste, on the basis of the class, and various studies have attempted to establish a relationship between the class and the caste. Is there any relationship between the caste and the class? Right? Traditionally, it has been observed that the caste reflected a feature described as summation of status principle. Right? If the status of caste was low in ritual, that is pollution or purity, that is, if the status of a caste is low, right, in hierarchy, it was also lower in access to the economic, political, and social stratification. So there is a relationship between the class and the class, caste and the class, right? If the status of the caste is low in hierarchy, right, if the status is low in hierarchy, and then they have a lower access to the wealth, right. They have lower access to the economic, or the political, or the social status, right. So caste is a closed group. Its membership is by birth. Thus, caste is ascribed and it cannot be achieved by economic or social mobility. Right. So, what is the caste? Caste is known as the closed group. Closed group means what? Closed group means you cannot change your caste because you get it from the birth. Its membership is by birth. It is a closed type of a group, and it is ascribed type of a status. Ascribed type is which you get, which you inherit, which you cannot change, right. That is the ascribed type of a status. So caste is an ascribed type of a status. You cannot change it, you cannot achieve it with economic or social mobility. Even if you are earning well, if you are well to do economically, then even you cannot change your caste, right. And there could not be social mobility. This social mobility, we'll discuss about the concept of social mobility later in our lectures, right. So you cannot change your caste. It is a closed type of a group, right. And it is an ascribed type of a status, and there is a relationship between the caste and the class, because if a caste is lower in hierarchy or low in hierarchy, they also have a lower in its access to the economic, political, or social status, right. While class is an open group in its membership, right. It is on the basis of the achievement criteria, which could be economic, political, or social in character. That is, you can change your class. It is an achieved type of a status, right. Ascribed status and achieved status. Class is an achieved type of a status. You achieve your status, you achieve your class, right. It could be the economic or political or the social. You can grow economically, politically, socially, right. And accordingly you can change your class from lower to middle to upper class. So it is achieved type of a status. Caste constitutes a community. Its mobility is a group based, and to this extent, efforts to arise status by Sanskritization. Right, there are the concept of Sanskritization and the mobility. Right, that is the caste mobility, right. So it constitutes a community. It is constitute Caste also constitutes a community. Its mobility is group based. That is, when there is a mobility in the group or the Sanskritized, there is a process of Sanskritization and westernization process. We'll discuss this Sanskritization, westernization process, and the class mobility or the caste mobility later, right. Class, unlike the caste, does not have a communitarian attribute, although it may have evolved group cohesiveness based on the common interest. See, caste is a community based. It is on the it is a it is community type of a group, right. It has a communitarian attribute, while class does not have a communitarian attribute. Communitarian attribute means that is it is caste is based on the is it is a group based, while class is not a group based, right? So classes not have a communitarian attribute, although it may evolve group cohesiveness based on the common interest, right? Caste is communitarian means it is a group those who belongs to a same type of a group is a collection of a people, two or more people form a group. And community, there should be a feeling of we. When there is a feeling of we, then that is known as the community, because they share some common characteristics in the caste. So it is a group, it is a communitarian attribute, and the mobility in of this caste is group mobility, right? While in class there is no communitarian attribute, while there is a cohesiveness between the group between the members of the group because of the common interest. Class in this sense is an interest group where caste constitutes a community, right? There are certain characteristics of the community, and one of the basic characteristic of community is that there is a feeling of we, they share, right? And in class is a class is a group, is an interest group, right? They share the people in the class, in class it is a group where people share the common interest, they work together, there is a cohesion between the members of the group in a class because of their common interest, right? That is the class, while the caste constitutes a community. And class is not a community, there is no feeling of we, but in caste there is a feeling of we, right? Marxist methods and the concept. The application of Marxist method and concept for analysis of India's class structure has been more common among the economists and later applied by the sociologists. In this rural context, where whether its economy and the social structure have feudal, semi-feudal, pre-capitalist or capitalist features. The class structure of village, which are still located in agriculture economy, are fast moving towards capital orientation. This employs money wages instead of wage in kind. Agriculture for profit rather than for livelihood. Greater role of banking, credit, and cooperative in investment for a production, a movement of production cash crop rather than the cereal with increased linkage with the market, etc. In urban center, the class structure comprises generally the industrialist, traders, business classes, and professional and the service classes, skilled and semi-skilled, and the daily wagers, right? So as we know that the marks, according to the marks, everything is based on the economy, and economy is basis of each and every society, right? So in Indian context, this class structure, if we divide the India, that is we analyze the Indian class structure on the Marxist method, then we can divide it into the rural and the urban context. According to the rural context, the economy and the social structure is on the basis of the feudal, semi-feudal, capitalist or the non-capitalist, and the class structure of villages are still dependent on the agriculture economy, and that is the fast moving towards the capital orientation, right? We are growing the cash crops rather than the cereals. We are now the agriculture is for profit making rather than for the livelihood, right? This bank credits plays a greater role, and the cooperative in investment than the cooperative in investment in the production, right? While in the urban are due two, that is haves and have nots, right? It is on the basis of the class is on the basis of mode of production, right? Basis of social stratification. Stratification is a system of social ranking involving a relation of superiority and inferiority. Yes, we divide the class, divide the society on the relation on the basis of superiority and inferiority. Stratification of social ranking, that is on the basis of superiority and inferiority. The relation between the units of ranks are governed by a set of norms. There are certain set of norms, and these set of norms govern the relation between the units of ranks. We rank the society on the basis of superiority and inferiority, that there is an hierarchy. Those who are at the lower end of the hierarchy, they are of inferior type, and those who are at the top of the hierarchy, they are known as the superior. And there are certain norms which governs these superiority and inferiority units, right? If it refers to the empirical distribution of advantage and benefits in the society, right? So there is a distribution of advantage and benefits in the society. It can be seen as a process which is regulated by some principles, right? See, there is an hierarchy, there are set of norms, and there is an empirical distribution of advantages and the benefits in this society. Those who are at the higher state, right? Those who are at the higher side of the hierarchy, they get more advantages and benefits rather than those at the lower end, right? This social stratification can be seen as a process which regulates by the some principles. There are some principles which governs this social stratification. This principle determines the basis of distribution of social advantage in the society, right? There are certain dimension or basis of social stratification. The basis or dimension of social stratification to different level of differentiation which may allocate a people in this society, right? There are certain dimensions on the basis we can stratify the society, or we stratify the society, right? Natural inequalities take a form of social inequalities when the member of society assigns some meaning to them, right? So sociologists present the three bases of stratification: wealth, power, and prestige, right? So what are the dimensions of the or the basis of the social stratification? So according to the sociologist, there are the three dimension or the three bases of the stratification. First is the wealth, second is the power, and third is the prestige. That is class. Wealth is class. On the basis of wealth, we develop the classes. Power is power, right? Then status. Prestige is status. What status one holds in this society, right? So class refers to differentiation at the level of wealth, right? As there are the three bases: wealth, class is a classical example of a wealth. So it refers to differentiation at the level of wealth. In this sense, it can be termed as economic differentiation. When there is an economic differentiation, when we stratified the society on the basis of the economic differentiation, or on the basis, or in other words, on the basis of the wealth, then that is known as class. Such changes not only brought about the institution of social stratification, but in course of time also altered the principles of organization of social stratification. Economic advancement led to the generation of more wealth in the society, more accumulation of the markers of wealth in form of food, grains, cattle, metal, minerals, or the money. With the development of the technology, with the economic advancement, right, it leads to the generation of the more wealth and accumulation of the more wealth. It could be in terms of money, it could be in terms of metal, it could be in terms of grains or the cattle, right? At this stage, the group which had a greater control over the economic resources or the wealth, or which possessed more wealth, were ranked higher in this society than the group which controlled less of it, or a group which had a little or a negligible access to the wealth, right? The social stratification based on the class is the prime example of the wealth, right? So those who possesses more wealth are placed higher in ranking system than those who have less access to the resources, right? So on the basis of the wealth, when we stratify the society, when we distribute the society, when we rank the group on the basis of the wealth, then that is known as the class system. Those that group which has more access to the society or which possesses the more wealth, right? That ranked higher in the society than those who have less access to the wealth or the resources, right? And the class is a classical example of the wealth, rich or poor, upper class or lower class. Then power. Another dimension of social stratification is power. What is power? It refers to the differential excess of power in the society. It includes the politic, social, and other type of a power. The power is what? What is power? That is when you imposes your will, right, on other group through legitimate coercive method, that is known as the power, right? So this is there are the different access to the power in the society. It is always possible that a group with the higher status in the society, or that which enjoys a greater wealth, can exercise more power in the society. Those who are either have more wealth, or with those who have higher status, rest on the fact that endows a person or a group which have a power to impose their will on the other group by legitimate use of coercive method. This concept of power has been given by the Max Weber. When legitimacy of exercise of power is widely accepted by the group, then that is known as the authority. Status refers to the prestige or the social honor, right? It is the language of social stratification, means ranking of group in society on the basis of their relative position in terms of honor or the respect, right? And this attribute is inherited by birth, right? In most cases, the three dimension complement each other. They are complementary to each other. This status, this power and wealth, or the class. Status, power and wealth, they complement to each other. These three dimensions complement to each other, because those who have a power, or those who have a health, a wealth, right, they enjoy more power in this society. Max Weber, class is an economic category, a product of the market situation. According to Max Weber, this economic this class is an economic category. It comes under the economic category, and it is a product of the market situation. The status group, on the other hand, constitutes a social order based on the prestige or honor. Class depends on the market situation, while that status depends on the prestige or the honor. Status is determined the social prestige one enjoys. Social prestige is expressed through the different styles of the life. Class and status groups are independent phenomenon, but in reality, the two overlap with each other. Analytically, they are two independent phenomenon: the class and the status group. Status group is that one as that status group is based on the prestige or the honor, right? That is the position which one holds in the society, that is known as the status. While the class depends on the market situation. They are two different independent phenomenon, but actually they overlap each other, right? The notion of power is the keynote of Weber's theory of social stratification, right? So the Weber's theory of social stratification is based on the power. It has been said that Weber's theory of stratification is reaction to the Marx theory of the class. As we all know, that Marx theory is based on the class, that he has divided it into the two classes, haves and has not. Right, while the Weber's theory of social stratification is based on the power, and it is an answer to to Marx theory of the class. Weber is the founding father of stratification analysis. Power has been given by the Weber, and the Weber is the founding father of stratification analysis, and Weber developed his idea on the stratification. He emphasized the distinction of the economic, social, and political basis of stratification. Right? According to him, that Marx, there is a distinction. It is required that there should be a distinction between the economic, social, and political basis of this stratification. He provided a multidimensional approach to the study of social stratification. Right? So we'll discuss the theory of Weber later, right? There are other bases. See, caste, power, that is the status, power, and wealth. Apart from this, there are other bases of social stratification. Other bases of social stratification like age, society, which have been described as the stateless type of fortress or even perchance lack this centralized government. They have no office of chief, or if they have such an office, it holds more ritual than the secular power. Still, such society are found to be stratified on the basis of age. Ranking on the basis of age is put together with exercise of authority on the basis of seniority. Stratification on the basis of age. See, where there is no well-defined state, then we divide the society on the basis of the age. A ranking, there is a ranking on the basis of the age, right? That is, age is put together with exercise of the authority. According to the age, authority has been assigned to the people. That is on the basis of the seniority, on the basis of the age, or on the basis of the seniority, the authority has been assigned to the to various people. The rank determined on the basis of age is called the age set. All person, basically men, born with a range or a number of years belong to one set. The first age set may comprise as short as 6 to 7 years or as long as 15. In terms of system of social stratification, the age set system provides for an open society in which no one is allocated a particular position for life, right? That is, we divide the society on the basis of ages. There are the we form the various in these type of the society, they form the various sets of the age, and then the authority is exercised or given on the basis of the ages, right? And this is found in the open type of the society, and no one is allocated a particular position for the life. Everybody in his time does become the old and therefore get a chance to hold the decisive authority. That is on the basis of the ages when one holds the authority. Then when an individual comes to that age, he or she will get a chance to hold that decisive authority. This system in which personal changes with the system without changing a pattern of stratification itself. So it could be on the basis of age. Next could be on the basis of race. Next stratification could be on the basis of race. Another type of social stratification is based on the race. A race is a biological concept, refers to a large category of people who share a certain inherited physical characteristics, such as the color of the skin, type of the hair, facial features, size of the head, etc. So, race, what is race? Race is actually biological concept, and it refers to the larger category of people who share certain inherited physical characteristics. That is on the basis of the physical characteristics. Race is a biological characteristics, and it is on the basis of the physical characteristics. For sociologists, a race is a group of people who are perceived by a given society as a biologically different from the other. They are biologically different from the other because of their biological differentiation. There are a difference, and they are different from each other in their physical characteristics, right? So, according to sociologists, race is a group of people who are perceived by a given society as biologically different from the others. Thus, people are assigned to one race or another by public opinion, which is molded by the society's dominant group rather than on any scientific basis. So, when we stratify the society on the basis of race, that is only on the basis of public opinion rather than any scientific basis. There is no scientific basis for the differentiation or the stratification of the society on the basis of the class. It is on the basis of the public opinion only. In racist societies, for example, in South Africa, physical characteristics are believed to be intrinsically related to moral, intellectual, and other non physical attributes and the abilities. At theoretical level, sociologists talk about the race relations as a form of stratification. They are characterized by unequal access to wealth, power on the basis of their physical characteristics. Then it could be on the basis of ethnicity. Race is based on popularly perceived physical traits. Ethnicity is based on the cultural trait. As race is a biological concept, ethnicity is a cultural concept. Right? Race is on the basis of their physical characteristics, while ethnicity is on the basis of the cultural traits. Ethnic group is thus defined as a common group of a people with a common cultural heritage, right? This group may share a common language, history, national origin, or the lifestyle, right? Then you can divide it on the basis of ethnicity, right? Like ethnicity is on the basis of the cultural traits. It could be common language, right? It could be common history, national origin, or the lifestyle. That disappearance of ethnical identities through the process of assimilation is often hampered when the dominant group do not allow the flow of social benefits to a certain group deemed to be powerless ethnic minorities. The situation give rise to the ethnic conflicts, and all such situation of conflict make a study of social stratification very important and relevant for the sociologist. That is on the basis of that is when we stratified the society on the basis of ethnicity. Then we stratified the society on the basis of the sex. Every human being is a male or a female, that is a man or women by sex. Even now, there is a third gender, right? The part played by the individual in course of interaction is called a role. Men or a women plays a different role. Sex is a role played by individual due to his or her sex. In male dominated society, the men's role are given the higher status, and whatever a woman does is rated as low. And the anatomical differences were for a long time viewed and intimately related differences in the emotional and intellectual capacities and their physical capacities. Patriarchy means serve the interest of the male sex. The sex role division is such that the men are for the production and women are for the reproduction, right? The unpaid, unseen household work is considered lower than the work done by the men. Women are sexually vulnerable, therefore many society put lot of restrictions on them, and many rituals and taboos are linked to various biological events, right? So we divide apart from the power, apart from the wealth, apart from the society, we can stratify the society on the basis of the age, on the basis of the race, on the basis of the ethnicity, on the basis of the sex, right? There are various sociological theories of sex roles. According to British sociologist And okay, sex is a biological term and gender is a cultural term. We all know that sex is a biological term because we're different biologically. Then it is a biological term. Sex is a sociological term. It's a cultural term. Why gender is a sociological term or a cultural term? Because on the basis of division of labor, when we divide when we divide people into groups, then that is known as the gender. Gender refers to the sex of an individual after socialization. That is why it is sociological terms. Social gender is a sociological term. After socialization, we divide the sex into gender on the basis of the division of labor, on the basis of the certain rules and the norms. Oakley argues that division of labor is not universal. She disagrees with Murdoch on this. She regarded it as a myth that women are biologically incapable to carry out heavy and demanding work. She also noted that the employment of a mother is not detrimental to children's development. According to her, Parsons' explanation of women's expressive role and men's instrumental role is for die convenience of the men. So she opposes the Murdoch as well as Parson. Emile Durkheim is one of the founding father of the sociologists, said that the primitive societies, men and women were fairly similar in strength and intelligence, and only as civilization progressed, new codes evolved which restricted women from working outside home. Thus, they become weaker and lesser intelligent. It is not like that women are lesser intelligent or weaker than the men. It is after, according to Durkheim, it is after the development of the civilization, when they were restricted from working outside the home, that became that they women became weaker and lesser intelligent, right? The process of socialization begins from the birth, when person is born. Sex roles are learned activities as children are socialized into these roles. The sex role allocated in social phenomenon, and it is in fact learned behavior. Women from centuries have been socialized in the passive roles. That is why the right that it is not. That is why that sex is a biological concept, while gender is a social concept, right? So today we discussed some basic concepts of social stratification. In our next lecture we'll discuss further, right? That's all for today. Thank you very much. Namaskar.